Serabi Gold just grew revenue 65% in 12 months, $94 million to $155 million. EBITDA up 117%. Post-tax profit up 94%. Cash on hand more than doubled. And here's the kicker. This Brazilian small cap mined under 45,000 ounces of gold last year. So how does a tiny miner double its profits? Two levers did it. One did most of the work. Let's break them down. So who is Serabi Gold? A Brazilian-focused miner running two assets in the Tapajós region, the Palito complex and the Coringa mine. Together, they now employ over 1,000 people. This is a true small cap. Production hit 169 ounces in 2025, up from 37,520 the year before. At that scale, every operational decision gets amplified, which is exactly why 2025 matters. So what changed inside the mines to push output up 18% year-on-year? Lever 1 was operational. Serabi pushed gold production up 18% year-on-year, from 37,120 ounces in 2024 to 44,169 ounces in 2025. The catch? They didn't build a single new mine to do it. Instead, the classification plant at Coringa, commissioned back in 2024, ran flat out through all of 2025. The team unlocked a second ore zone called Mayo, which delivered meaningful growth. A ramp to a third zone, Galena, kept advancing underground. CFO Colm Howland called the year transformative. But more ounces is only half the math. What happened to the price of each ounce sold? Lever 2 was bigger. In 2024, Serabi sold gold for an average of $2,407 an ounce. In 2025, that price jumped to $3,181. That's a 45% lift on every single ounce out the door. Stack the math. 18% more ounces times 45% higher prices lands almost exactly on that 65% revenue jump. No wonder the CFO called 2025 transformative. But a windfall like this splits two ways: spend it or reinvest it. Which path did Serabi choose? Serabi's now sitting on a pile of cash. Net cash from operations hit $50.6 million after $5.3 in mine development. The year before, just $24.5. Cash from operations overall jumped 81% to $55.9 million. So what does a disciplined small cap do with that windfall? Most miners would shovel it to shareholders. Serabi went the other way. $14.5 million into mine development and pre-operating costs. Another $8.15 million into brownfield exploration. 38,400 meters drilled. Growth over distribution. But did the drilling actually find anything? So Serabi spent $8 million on exploration. That's the part where most miners burn cash and find nothing. Year 1 of their aggressive 2-year program drilled 38,400 meters. Here's the result. Measured and indicated resource jumped to 731,000 ounces of gold. Inferred climbed to 653,000. They hit a significant new discovery at Coringa, plus multiple new veins folded into the resource estimate. Now, management is targeting 1.5 million ounces, underpinning production beyond 60,000 ounces a year from 2027. But here's the catch. Can the existing plant actually process all that? Here's the catch. All those new ounces in the ground mean nothing if you can't grind them. Serabi's Palito plant runs at 650 tons per day, a hard ceiling around 55,000 ounces a year. Resource growth, stranded. Then in early 2026, management announced a fourth ball mill at Palito, lifting capacity to roughly 900 tons per day, operational by Q4 2026. That's the bridge to a 100,000 ounce plus annual producer. But scaling like this costs money. So how is the balance sheet holding up? Here's the twist most growth stage miners never pull off. Serabi just got out of debt entirely. Cash on hand jumped from $22.2 million to $49.2 million in 12 months. Net cash climbed from $16.2 million to $42.1 million. Then, on January 7, 2026, they wired $5.3 million to Banco Santander in Brazil and erased the loan. By the end of Q1, cash hit $64.4 million. The CFO says the balance sheet has never looked stronger. So with this much firepower, do shareholders finally get paid? Yes, shareholders finally get paid. The board declared Serabi's first ever dividend. 5 pence per share, around 7 cents, totaling about $5.4 million. That's roughly 20% of 2025 free cash flow, deliberately at the low end of policy. But the cost line tells a harder story. Cash costs climbed to 1,137 an ounce. All-in sustaining costs hit 1,816. CFO Howland is blunt. Cost discipline remains critical as expansion continues, with over 1,000 employees now on the books. So what does management actually want shareholders expecting next? So what does management actually promise next? Hard numbers. 2026 production guidance lands at 53,000 to 57,000 ounces, locking in that 55,000 ounce run rate. Profit per share already jumped from 36.73 cents in 2024 to 71.18 cents in 2025, almost double. And the new shareholder return policy targets up to 20 to 30% of group free cash flow, paid through dividends or buybacks. On paper, it's a compounding machine, but every plan has a weak link. So what's the one thing that could derail all of this? But the chair's letter opens with a hard truth. Despite improving 2025 safety performance, 2 fatalities occurred at Serabi's operations in early 2026. Behind every ounce, there are over 1,000 people on site, and that's the human cost of scaling fast. Management's response? An external health and safety audit, additional H&S personnel, and direct support for affected employees and families. ESG metrics now drive 15% of 2026 long-term incentive plans, and the Sustainability Committee created in 2024 is tightening governance. Financial growth and operational responsibility can't be separated. So what does the full picture say about Serabi as an investment? So here's the playbook. Catch the price cycle. Execute on production. Reinvest in drilling and a 4th ball mill. Then go debt-free, pay the inaugural dividend, and guide 53 to 57,000 ounces toward a 100,000 ounce future. That's how a small cap doubles profit. Subscribe for more deep dives like this. Hit the bell for the next earnings breakdown. And tell us in the comments, back Serabi or wait?